In a world where warriors were men and battles were fought with swords, shields, and bloodshed, one woman's actions shook the foundation of an empire. This isn't a fairy tale or a fable from ancient times. This is the real story of Jael, a woman whose courage, wisdom, and decisive actions turned the tide of a war that threatened the very survival of her people. Imagine for a moment, you're in a war, your people are on the brink of defeat, and the enemy's most powerful general is lying at your doorstep. What would you do? Would you cower in fear? Would you let fate take its course? Or would you seize the opportunity and make a bold, unimaginable move that will go down in history? This is the story of Jael, a woman whose name will forever be etched in the annals of history, not as a mere bystander, but as a hero. A heroine who did what no one expected and achieved what no one thought was possible. The battle between the Israelites and the Canaanites in the 12th century BC was a fight for survival. The Canaanites, led by their fierce general Sisera, were laying waste to the Israelites. It seemed like nothing could stop them. But the story of Jael, a woman who wasn't a warrior in the traditional sense, tells us something profoundly powerful about courage, action, and destiny. Jael wasn't even a soldier. She wasn't part of the army that stood on the front lines. She was a simple woman, a wife living in a tent, far from the grandeur of battlefields. But when the moment came, Jael did something so unexpected, so brave, that it shifted the outcome of an entire war. She didn't just wait for someone else to do the dirty work. Jael took action. And it's because of her and her alone that the Israelites were able to claim victory over the mighty Canaanite forces. But what drove Jael to make this bold decision? Was it courage, fate, or something deeper? Let's step into her world, the world of the ancient Israelites and their fierce enemies, and explore what happened that night. What led to one of the most remarkable moments in biblical history? It starts with the defeat of the Israelites under the rule of Sisera. The Canaanite general had been relentless in his campaign, leaving the Israelites battered and broken. They had nowhere to turn, except for a prophetess named Deborah, who was leading Israel at the time. Deborah had long foretold that the Israelites would overcome their enemies, but she knew that their victory would not come easily. Deborah, alongside Barak, the military leader, mounted a defense against Sisera's forces, but the battle was anything but guaranteed. The Canaanites, with their powerful chariots and overwhelming numbers, seemed invincible. That's when Sisera made a fatal mistake. After losing the battle, he fled, abandoning his army, abandoning his men, running for his life, and seeking refuge in the home of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. But Jael was not what Sisera expected. In fact, her home was far from an ally of the Canaanites. Heber's family had been neutral in the conflict, but Jael knew that neutrality would not save her people. When Sisera entered her tent, exhausted and seeking refuge, Jael saw her chance. She was the one who could change the outcome of this war, and in that moment she made a choice that would forever change the course of history. Sisera, tired from battle, asked Jael for water to drink, but instead of offering him what he wanted, she gave him milk. This small act of kindness was no mere hospitality. She knew what she was doing. The milk would make him drowsy, make him weak. She then covered him with a blanket, as if to protect him from the world outside. But what Sisera didn't know was that Jael was preparing to do what no one would dare to do, what no man could have done in that moment. As Sisera slept, Jael took a tent peg and a hammer, approached the helpless general, and drove the peg through his skull. She didn't hesitate. She didn't second-guess herself. She knew that this was the only way to ensure her people's survival. In that one, swift action, Jael became the savior of Israel. Her boldness, her unflinching courage, and her willingness to do what needed to be done in the face of impossible odds ensured the defeat of Sisera and his entire army. Jael didn't just change the outcome of a battle, she altered the course of history. What Jael did that night did not go unnoticed. When Barak, the military leader of Israel, arrived at her tent and saw the lifeless body of Sisera, he knew that the victory was not his alone. It was Jael's moment. Deborah, too, recognized her bravery, and she praised Jael for what she had done. Jael's name would go down in history, not as a mere footnote, but as a central figure in the deliverance of Israel from their enemies. But there's more to this story than just the physical act of what Jael did. Her courage symbolizes something deeper, something we all can take inspiration from. She showed us that sometimes the greatest victories come from the most unexpected places. She wasn't a warrior by birth, but she was a warrior in spirit. In the face of danger, she didn't stand by. She took control of her fate. So, what can we learn from Jael's story? In a world that often tells us that only the strong and the powerful can change the course of history, Jael stands as a testament to the truth that even the most unlikely person can rise up and change everything. Her story challenges the very idea of what it means to be a hero. You don't need to wear armor or wield a sword to make a difference. Sometimes, all you need is the courage to act when the world is asleep. Jael's story is a powerful reminder that history isn't just shaped by kings and generals. It's shaped by ordinary people who dare to make bold decisions when the time comes. And when that moment arrives, will you be ready to change the course of your own world?